what everything was leading towards.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
Blue, here in Atlanta, you already got boots on the ground. But as you see, man, people go to these churches. You see 2819 Church, Philip Anthony Mitchell. I've seen black people, especially after the Charlie Kirk situation, right? Where there's been a number of black Christians that get tied to Christian theology before being black.
Hmm.
And then also in that same breath, Charlie Kirk, I saw his memorial, right? Where Stephen Miller, who you were just talking about, hearing him talk about, we are the masters of civilization. He's saying this after a prayer. We are the masters of civilization. We built Rome. We came out of the caves. We built this, we built that. I'm like, man, this dude is tying in white supremacy with this. The black
Yeah.
churches, right? A white supremacist dies. You're feeling sorry for him, but he would want you dead. What effect has Christendom had on us right now of seeing this all unfold in real time?
Again, because there's so many different variations
Yeah.
of Christianity, and very few people are educated as to what Christendom is.
Mm.
They don't know what they're looking at. You know what I'm saying? Again, but we can just say, all right, well, is Christian nationalism the same thing as a Baptist Christian necessarily? They haven't done the homework,
Yeah.
right? All you got to do is say Jesus, and it obfuscates any sense that people have to say, well, what Jesus you talking about? Caesar Borgia, right? That's the first AI. That's the first AI. That's the first artificial image of a deity who was the son of the Pope who put the papal bull out. They sent them over here for religious persecution. That would be the Intercatera, Pope Alexander VI. May 4th, right? He issues the papal bull, right? That you're supposed to, he splits the world in two. He gives the west of Spain, he gives the east of Portugal. You were to go and find Saracens, which are Moors, another word for more, heathens or pagans. And if they don't accept the name of Jesus Christ as Savior, take their land, right? Take their shit and subjugate them. But then the face and the picture of it that you sent as your son, like, come on now. They playing with the name, they playing with the image. You know what I'm saying? I'm waiting on God to take his good name back. You feel me? I'm waiting on God because they're ruining the brand. So you dragging Christianity. He's the Prince of Peace, right? Christianity was implemented here at the barrel of a gun and the tip of a sword. It wasn't accepted. It wasn't absorbed. They had their own thing running, right? Or they might even acknowledge and be like, yeah, that stuff got its way. We know about that, right? But by a different name. There's mad evidence that in Pennsylvania, right, they found about 25 different markers to show that those people line up with what's considered to be the lost tribe, right? Algonquin script is the same as Proto-Hebraic. To a degree, this is the stuff that they push and promote. That's why Pennsylvania is what it is. That's why Philadelphia is what it is. It's the church. They said that these people got providence over here, and if we get underneath their providence, then we too can be protected. On the 40 parallel line, they line up and they put down Philadelphia for those specific reasons. You know what I'm saying? So these people, they knew, they know, they be knowing, they've grabbed documents and archives, they did their research. Again, our people don't even know to this day what Christendom is. They don't know that it's a militarized version of it. They don't know that when it fused with Rome, they don't understand Constantine, they don't understand Augustine, they don't know their history.
Roman Empire still exists, man.
Only thing you gotta tell these niggas is Jesus.
Yeah.
And they're blinded. And let me be clear, like, because I got the weirdest job ever, right? I was not raised in Christianity. Um, I decided to study on my own because of my quest to know more about my namesake, which is Paul, right? And I found so many contradictions, but I remember so many examples in my life. And I'm not a separatist of and from my people, right? I never banged on them like Saul. Yes, I did. But I never like debated. I didn't go the way that they did in Harlem. I had compassion because there were people that were near and dear to me in my life that came under that banner. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like I would be desecrating and disrespecting their legacy. And I study civil rights, right? Even though I have a Malcolm X disposition, right? But I grew up in a household where, my father's a professor of Black history. So African American studies, what they call it in school. You know what I mean? Eyes on the Prize. I grew up on all of these documentaries. I know about the Freedom Riders and everything. So I don't want to say I didn't have a soft spot. I just didn't want to disrespect and desecrate, like how they telling you don't do with C.K. Kirkland. Don't disrespect the dad. So I'm like, damn, nobody ever really. When do we take time for our ancestors? Because amongst ourselves, we don't do that. We don't respect our ancestors. People don't respect King. They don't respect none of the sacrifices these people made because they like, oh, they sold louder. They turned their cheeks. They don't understand the methodology of how they utilized these Christian principles of compassion to get their own Christian brethren into a figure four by utilizing the thing that C.K. Kirkland understood and made him a legend. He understood media, right? King understood media. That's why they're making these loose comparisons. And I've been told you, I was like, yo, they're replacing, we got to go back to right before, I think we did one either right after he came in, after the 20th.
Right after, yeah.
Because I've been talking about
Before
this,
and after,
right?
you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
I was talking about this, where's King's picture at?
Behind you.
I was like, yo, they did it on January 20th for a reason. They are divesting in the investment of Black America and they're replacing the old king with the new one. 30 days in, he put the tweet out about him being the king because he finessed Eric Adams with the New York thing, right? And then now it's the No Kings March, so it's not a secret no more, right? And then the minute C.K. Kirkland transitions, oh, this is our area, that's our era's MLK. And he was the main person who was disrespecting and shitting on his name. Talking about he's not worthy of a national holiday. You talking about King. How dare you? How dare you open your...
Yeah.
His legacy should be shredded. He has violated way too much for him to get the level of respect that he has received from our people, which tells you at this day and time, they have no idea who they are. They don't know their history. And I feel very troubled about their future because of their own desecration. They are taking pistols and putting it in their own mouth. And I know how strong religion is. You know what I'm saying? But to see yourself as that first and not see yourself as melanated, I mean, these, again, it's a weird hierarchy, and some people show up how they show up, granted. You know what I'm saying? I just think, I know that, and it's the part that hurts so much, and it's so bad. Like, we are ethno superior, right? On a biological aspect of this spacesuit that you have, this quantum cosmic spacesuit that you're in. Like the fact that you disrespect and dislike your melanin, you know what I'm saying? You don't deserve it. Like, we need to strip niggas of their melanin these days. Like, give them the Salmon Sosa treatment. And it's like, if you want to be with them, go over there. You feel me? If your God got blue eyes and blonde hair, get the fuck over there. You are a danger to humanity. Because the insanity that you are projecting at this particular point, there's no redeeming that. Like, that's the biggest of sins to me. You feel me? Is that you will run with this artificial imagery and you will look at a God that don't look nothing like you. And then you buying into the narrative that they're telling you, right? Because Pete Hegseth's pastor, Doug Wilson, was like, oh, you niggas was slaves because, you know what I'm saying? The Bible says so. You was happy and you deserved and such, and it was good ones. And this is what they propagate and promote. This is what C.K. Kirkland was talking about, right? The only tenet that I would say is a redeeming quality of said individual Was his emphasis on being married, right? And being a father in the household for your children. Those family dynamics. But those are intrinsic American virtues, not necessarily quote unquote just Christian, right? But it's getting back to the traditionalism of what this country was built on. The interesting thing about it, if you take an observation of consciousness, because I think we had this conversation as well, the difference in demarcation of conscious and woke, right? Consciousness is traditional, it's conservative. Whereas woke, that's like liberal consciousness. Anything goes, you know what I'm saying? That shit is all inclusive. That's never what consciousness has been. Consciousness has been closed. It's a secret society more so because it deals with very strict traditional values. And African-centered traditional values are always going to emphasize family and home. Like, yeah, you gotta be there. You gotta be a provider by any and all means, right? If you got pushed out of the equation, then yeah, then you have failed, my nigga. You failed. You gotta hold on by any and all means. You gotta figure this shit out. It's just another test. It's just another test. And we can't uphold failure. So that's the thing. What is our agenda? What are our principles? What are our values? Right? Do we want to compete for Americanism? Or are we willing to just let it go? Because that's what the culture war is right now. And they're beating you over your head with it. So you want to relinquish altogether? They're going to send the drones. Or you want to stand on something? Where's your debaters at? Because now you have to come with your ideas, ideologies. Who are your ideologues that can push and promote this? You feel me? Is it tied to a economic ideology, right? Is it socialism? Is it communism? Is it capitalism? Is it a hybrid like China? Which one is it? Niggas don't have none of these answers for us, but they on these platforms and they talking up a storm. And then mad that they not getting the support that they think that they deserve. But where's the plans? Where's the plans of action? You're playing, you're playing the little version of a big game. You're not even good at the game that you're playing. You know what I'm saying? It's and again, if you listen to them, they cancel themselves out. It's like, all right, financially, you talking capitalism, but socially, you talking socialism. So again, is that a hybrid? Is it like China? Which one is it? They don't know. They haven't done the research. You know what I'm saying? So we're in a very dangerous place. That whole concept of the blind leading the blind type, that's where we at, right? But it makes it so dangerous because the digital footprints that we're leaving, you're not allowed to make mistakes anymore. You have to move. It's like playing a game of operation, right? You can't be outside the margins. You're gonna get buzzed. And that's still, I think, where it's at today. So you ask me, like, what would need to be done? Do brothers need to recalibrate and go back to debates? And it's like, I was saying, like, all right, well, which one of you niggas is gonna go to Oxford and Harvard and Princeton? Like, all this mental jousting amongst yourself, when is somebody gonna pop out and go and take it to them? You know, Polite did with Harry Rosensberg, you know what I'm saying? But look at Polite, you know what I'm saying? So who who is who does the community elect as their great debater that you willing to send to campuses now? You feel me? Conscious community wasn't going to campuses. That shit got run over by the woke, by the BLM and all of them. So it's like these are the places where intellectualism festers at. And these are allegedly the people that are going to control the world in the future. That's why it's such a battleground. Because it's college campuses, right? Quality of membership. You know what I'm saying? You want the nigga on the corner with all of the trauma in his back pocket. You feel me? The shit that he don't wear in the light that comes out in the dark. Like a lot of these individuals that I'm talking about, that's not gonna work anymore. You know what I mean? But you know, the New York scene is more street driven, so it's like they have a disdain for um accredited scholarship. And accredited scholarship have a disdain for the conscious community. They branded it ghetto scholarship. Shout out to Wesley Muhammad. Hmm. You seen the movie True Romance?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, everybody's pointing gats at one another, just taking one another out.
Hmm.
That's what happened.
Nice, bro. Blue, you know, hearing you speak, break everything down, bro. You've been going crazy for like 45 minutes already, but
44.
44 to be exact. Huh? Indeed, brother. Indeed. But man, hearing you, brother, I'm thinking about the show American Gods, where all the gods got power from you giving them praise, power, and attention, right? I remember Odin on the show. Shout out to brother Rich. He actually put me onto the show from, you know, hearing him talk about it years back. And I watched it maybe like 4 years ago. And I'm like, dang,
Odin means Wednesday. Wednesday's 44. I'm listening.
come on now. Odin, right? Seeing him, how nobody was praising his name and he was starting to fade
Oh
away.
God, right.
Right. Old gods versus the new gods.
Mm-hmm.
That started to make me think in this in real time. Do you feel like white supremacists in America have actually made a deal with the devil? Reason why is, you know, to your point, like this white Jesus, like you said, AI generated, this isn't real. So this was all created. And you know how old black folks used to say, oh, Satan, his heaven, it's on earth. As you see, white men, they value having heaven on earth. They value greed and plundering all these things. Do you feel like white supremacists have made a deal with the devil?
Um, again, with a principality that, so we're speaking about he who has the greatest and the grandest story wins out. That's why I spoke earlier about the Christian nationalists and the Christian Zionists, who are the same people. Their narrative, right, is one that is more intriguing than anybody else's because it's active in real time. They got receipts. They can show you some shit, right? And they actually believe it and they're willing to go all the way with it. You know what I'm saying? And they feed this entity, right? While once again, while they're still in Harlem debating whether it's real or not, right? They're feeding an entity. And the movie shows you, the TV show shows you, and many things can show you, you can create an entity as long as you feed it, right? As long as you feed it, you can create one. And if anybody has crossed the line and they've been into African traditional systems or spiritual systems, different from the spiritual community, right? I'm talking about people that are actually putting in work, dealing with blood and shit like that. Jesus is a very strong name in the ancestral realms of spirits. When you're dealing with demonic forces, when you're dealing with spirits, when you're dealing with shit, there's certain names that hold more weight than others. Those names are drenched in blood. Those names are fed. Those in whatever form or entity, however you want to identify it or call it or what have you, it's an egregor. It's a form. You know what I mean? They so the Ku Klux Klan is a Christian occult organization.
Dang, I forget. You
These
right.
are esoteric organizations, right? It was driven by a Confederate general named Albert Pike, who's also the Grand 33rd degree master of Scottish Rite Freemasonry, wrote a book called Morals and Dogma, right? Um, so where I could sit back as a student or a studier of esoteric knowledge or the occult, um, and I'm like, wow, there are a lot of people that are leaning on this Goetia information and this energy, right? Those people on Eastern Parkway that I'm speaking about specifically, that's over there, that's what they're leaning on, right? That's what they're activating. You feel me? So, according to the story, if God got an op or a foe or opposition and it identifies itself as the devil and it's here, right? Because it was casted 1/3. I heard my brothers. Yeah, 1/3, right? 33% came with him. It's like, yeah, right? They would have to form a pact with the thing or the entity that got the drama or the beef with who you come from and who favors you, because you got the covenant, you got the blessing, right? And they, once again, they're running around with your robe, with your clothes on. You got your name stitched in it. They got your cosmic birthright. They got your land rights, right? And then they tell you it's not about this and it's not about that. So you can't even get into your own comforts to be like, man, I love myself specifically because I'm covered in this cosmic covenant. I got this quantum computer, you know what I mean? That does any and everything. I would hate me too if I was not covered in this cosmic covering, if I didn't have this covenant to speak of. But then they put this shit down on page and you think that it's something else and you're getting finessed out of your blessings. You're getting finessed out of it. And instead, they took your blessings and gave you the burdens. And we running around. We swear we got a curse on us. We swear that this is accursed. You feel me? And we behave like people who feel like they're under a curse. And because these people know how to drive narratives, right? And create real life scenarios that line up with those narratives, they're doing everything to keep you in a perpetual state of stress because that makes this malfunction. You know what I'm saying? And they just like, we just got to keep the chaos up. We just got to keep the noise up. We got to stay on these people's helmets at all times. You feel me? And we have to pretend like we love ourselves to such a degree that we giving them FOMO. How, Sway? Right? They're killing themselves literally to be you. And you don't see it. They know what the sun do to them, but they in all of these sun-drenched areas catching it, right? Because they want a little tan. They want to be down, bro. But they have finessed, they have churned their fragility based on what they know about science into a supremacy based on what they're teaching you that they think they know about religion, spirituality. And you falling for it, right? But I get it. It's one hell of a spell. It's one hell of a spell. So, as I was saying earlier, like where my compassion comes from, the nanas, you know, I've seen strong melanated men, you know what I mean, who stand on that foundation of Christ, you know, um, historical figures in the past. I just feel like I owe it more to them. And then I meet some amazing people today. You know what I'm saying?
From Israel, right? Yeah.
Hmm?
From Israel. He was from Israel, who you met.
No, I'm not talking
It was
about
somebody
today.
else.
I'm
I
just
got you.
saying these days,
Yeah.
like D1,
I got you. Yep.
AC McQueen,
AJ
AJ
McQueen. Yeah,
McQueen.
yeah,
I
yeah.
heard him say some profound.
Yeah.
It's short, right here. He's sitting in this seat.
Yes, sir.
It brought me to a silent tear because I was like, those are the brothers that I revere in regards to how they have held on to the word. And you could tell he grew up in a strong household surrounded by that and the fortification that it puts in the household, specifically through the women who become adaptive to it. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard to just turn your back on that. And I wouldn't disrespect or desecrate them. So I've always just been like, yo, like, make it yours. It is yours, technically. You know what I'm saying? You got to sift through a lot of BS because there's a lot of history attached to, you know, it was yours when it was pure. It was yours all the way back. But it's you dragged all of this other stuff with you. And so I'm banging on that. You can't show up in the appearance of that. You can't show up cloaked with all of them patches. I'm gonna start grabbing them patches off. It's like, no, son, you don't need none of that. That ain't you. You know what I'm saying? The brother Dalton Jr.,
Oh yeah.
right?
Ronald Dalton. Yeah.
Profound. Like he was really he gave me something to think about. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, cause I had met a brother who wrote a book called When Rocks Cry Out. Uh what's my guy name, man? He's a firebrand, man. What's my guy's name? I remember his name as we go along. But his premise was that all of those narratives and stories took place in the Americas. And he has a best-selling book called When Rocks Cry Out.
I
You know
gotta
what I'm
check that
saying?
out.
Out of Dallas. You always find them firebrands coming out of Dallas. You know what I'm saying? To me, he was like the juxtaposition of how Ashra Kwesi, you know, stands on Kemet. He was standing on the Christian narrative, but the ancient archaic one written in stone that he can show and prove that Peru was Jerusalem, and I mean he was just bro. And then you go, and then he got, you know, you go into them temples and he's showing you. But these is melanated kingdoms, bro. These is melanated kingdoms right here in the Americas, tied into scripture, right? But they will let the Mormons come down here and say it, right? And grab a stronghold from it. They will let the Quakers do it. But again, like, are we giving ourselves permission to see ourselves as the ones? Not the subordinates, not the tools. I don't want to have no conversation with somebody that sees themselves in the tools in the religion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it don't stop there. We could talk about Islam, and we could talk about a few others where these people, like, unless you see yourself as the one, unless your God look like you or speak specifically to you, don't bring that around me. You got to go and do more research first. Go do your homework, and then we could talk. It's just getting out of control at this point. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, what's for us? I want to know what's for us. That's what I'm interested in. Not what's for them, because they're showing you what they're willing to do with what's for them. Is all out. It's like we covering all bases. So what we're seeing with dominionism, right, which is the version of Christianity that has emerged in this administration, they have something called the Seven Mountain Mandate, right? The Seven Mountain Mandate was also written by a dude named Walnut. You got to know who that is. Wallnau. He was the pastor last year that said that Kamala, she had the Jezebel spirit of a witch in her because she whooped her boy on a debate. Now, this is the thing, and this, I be in my feelings, because I'm just like, niggas just say they ain't do their homework. And that's the part that hurts the most. Son got his hat handed to him last year on September 10th in the great debate, right? When he got punished by Kamala. So a year later, to the day, the great debater catches